Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about the film Potato, which was produced in South Korea in 1968. In Korea in 1920, there was a poor family and they were about to marry their daughter with an older guy who they thought it was a wealthy man. But in reality, it was very different. The guy indeed had noble descent, but he was totally impoverished, he had no money, and he thought that it was below his dignity having to work. Okay, he could be poor, but maybe he would be a good husband. But no, it wasn't the case. He thought that he shouldn't work because he had noble blood, but he totally exploited his wife. She was half of her age and was treated like a slave. She was supposed to support everyone in the house. She worked all day long while her husband slept all day long. And they went from village to village because he didn't even have a house. So they went from village to village, but they were always kicked out because her husband didn't want to work. He was lazy, he slept all day long. Usually the people from the village accepted they to stay because they felt sorry for the girl. The girl was very hardworking, very polite. She was a nice girl, but the husband was always the reason why they could never stay too long in the same place. After a while, they settled down in a village, but it was still the same problem. The husband slept all day long while the girl had to work. And then it started rumors about the woman. At first, she worked in a farm to collect caterpillars from trees, and then she took them, and then as a payment for that she received some money, and it was a more or less fixed job. But then whenever she received her salary, her husband demanded to keep all the money for himself. And then the kind of supervisor of the farm, she got his eye on the girl, and there was some scenes in the film where it seems that he took advantage of the girl, and she had to stand all this humiliation in order to keep her job. But then after a while the seasons changed and the work of collecting caterpillars was no longer necessary, so she stopped doing it. Then they were left totally unemployed. Then there was a construction site where they were hiring poor women. She was among one of those who was selected, but she was always harassed by other men who wanted to take advantage of her, and she had to tolerate that. And then one woman thought that she was being the lover of her husband. Then all the other women got together and started beating her. It was totally insane. And the husband still slept all day long. He felt it was below his dignity to work. She couldn't ask for her parents to help her because she was living very away from her parents. And it was a very long time ago, so it wasn't like nowadays when we can easily call other people on the phone. So she continued with that life. Someday, a Chinese went to the village. Her husband borrowed some money with the Chinese, but then he totally disappeared from the village, likely because he knew he couldn't pay the Chinese back. But then his wife was left all alone. She couldn't pay back the Chinese. Then, to try to repay the debt, she worked in his vegetable farm. But then the Chinese also tried to take advantage of her. It was horrible. She suffered a lot with humors. because she was young, because she was beautiful. The men chased her. The other women were afraid that she would take their husbands and laughed at her. So she didn't have anyone to help her. And then the Chinese, he made a beautiful marriage ceremony for himself. He was going to marry another woman. And then this poor girl, completely fed up with everything she was suffering and tired from the Chinese trying to take advantage of her, she physically attacked the guy, and he ended up killing her. And then there was people started talking in the village, oh, poor girl, she tried so hard to earn a living and then she ended up this way. And then we can see that her husband, he got to know about his wife's death. And then it seems that he kind of regretted his actions, wondering where he would find such a good wife like her. But then it was all too late. It's a nice film. It's not really a happy film. It's very sad. It has the advantage, this film was made in 1968, but from 1920 to 1968, there isn't too much difference of time. So we can have an idea how poor people in that area lived such a long time ago. We can see their typical clothes, what they ate, how they earned a living. So the historical value of this film is very good. If you want to watch a happy, cheerful film, do not watch this one because it's not for you. It's not a horrible or disturbing film, but it's sad. We can see that the woman, because of cultural conditions and because of the society, she couldn't leave that horrible man. He beat her, he brutalized her, he treated her horribly, and she couldn't do anything to change the situation. She tried to work hard, so otherwise everyone would starve to death. And then her husband took her money away from her. She had dreams of saving every penny, of buying some small piece of land, of having 2 children, sending them to school so they could have a better life. And she didn't live long enough to make those dreams come true. Her husband left her even though she did everything she could for him. And she struggled poverty all along. She had no way of overcoming those problems. And then her life was taken in a very brutal way. And if she had a good husband to protect her, she would work together with him, not to support the entire housework. And then she would have a better life. She wouldn't be exposed to all those men who didn't like her, who only wanted to use her. She wouldn't be the gossip of the village. On the other hand, many women throughout the world passed through that. So it's sad to see that many women suffered the same things and they still suffer in many places. It's good so we can have empathy with people who are facing those problems. And we can see that sometimes people make difficult decisions because they do not have any other option in life. They are struggling, they are starving, they do not have any other choice of work. And we can see that the woman was so happy. Everyone who was working, collecting caterpillars on top of the trees, they were extremely happy because at least they had more or less fixed work, because they didn't have any source of money, any opportunity of having an education. And sometimes the married women, they married too young and they were taken away from their parents. So it's a sad story, but it's interesting. That's all for now, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you!